Welcome to Badger Beer Hour, the December 2020 edition. I'm here with my friends Landon Cherney and Wisconsin Beer Baron Chris Drosner. Hello, folks.
Hey, Greg.
Hello, everybody.
What's going on, Landon, in the news?
Man, we got news. We're starting December's news with Wisconsin brewers bringing home some beer awards.
That's right. Yeah, to be honest, it's going to be level with you. It's a little bit of a slow month for news, so we'll start with the U.S. Open Beer Championships. This is a competition based in Ohio that this year judged 6,000 beers across about 140 style categories. This is a brewery this is a contest that is everything okay? Are we hearing that? Okay. This is a competition that occasionally issues a fourth award in the style. They do bronze, silver, and gold, but occasionally they'll do a fourth award in the style when they think there's enough good beers to judge it or to award as such. It normally happens in June, but it was pushed back to December this year. And one cool aspect of this competition is that it's open to commercial brewers, which are obviously the ones we're highlighting here, but also winners of the American Homebrewers Association competition. They had this. So you can, if you win, your division in the homebrew competition, you can play with the big boys. And this year, I thought it was kind of cool. They had a Black is Beautiful category, and the winner in that style was Pontoon Brewing in Sandy Springs, Georgia. I think it's important to keep in mind what these awards are. This is not the GABF Great American Beer Festival judging competition, which is, at least for my money, the most prestigious of these awards of the beer competitions. But U.S. Open has been around for 13 years. They don't really have anything to talk about the process or the judges on the website or anything. But I think so. I think you need to take these with a little bit of a grain of salt. But it is another data point if you're interested in stopping by a new brewery, or if you're at a brewery and you're wondering kind of what to pick. So here are the Wisconsin winners. There were three winners in the bronze. McFleshman's Brewing Ultima won in the Brute IPA category. McFleshman's is in Appleton, and I think we've talked about them previously. They're I think they won a GABF award actually, and they're a very traditional kind of English old world style brewery. Point Classic Amber Lager won in the American Amber California Common category. And the Explorium's Damn That's Good Double IPA won in the Near Gluten-Free IPA or Double IPA category. And this one's pretty interesting because I did not know this until seeing this and asking Explorium owner Mike Doble about this. Explorium is located in Southridge Mall in, I believe that's Greendale, might be Greenfield, but Southridge Mall, and they just opened this fall a new brew pub in the 3rd Ward in downtown Milwaukee. So a lot of their beers, in fact, most of kind of the regular beers on their menu, they process with this enzyme that reduces the gluten to near zero levels. So it doesn't impart any flavor. It doesn't really do anything to the body. It's almost entirely neutral as far as the actual outcome of the beer, except it removes the gluten from the beer. This almost all brewers that use this are real careful about saying this is not a gluten-free beer, which is why the category is gluten-free, because if you have celiac, you could even like one spec of gluten can have really adverse reactions, and so obviously you want to avoid that and just be frank about what it is. But most people who are avoiding gluten for dietary reasons or just out of a preference thing really are, these are good options for them. And I thought it was really cool that basically the entire Explorium menu was, one thing he doesn't use them with is hazy IPAs and stuff like that, and some of the specialty beers. But his wife is gluten and lactose intolerant, so they're really careful with, not throwing lactose in everything. Although they do their pastry stouts, they do their milkshakes, but and then using these gluten reducing enzymes whenever they can, basically, because it's like there's no downside to it essentially. So just and one bit of context, as a commercial version of these kinds of beers, Stone's Delicious IPA won silver in this category. So that's kind of the peer beers in that category. So speaking of silver, we had two from Lakefront. They won in the German wheat category for Lakefront Wisconsinite, and Juvar, the honey. It's a honey lager that was released in June as part of their My Turn series. That won in the honey beer category. Won silver. And then Brewfinity from Oconomowoc, which is the latest iteration of Sweet Mullet's Brewing, won in You're Killing Me. One for You're Killing Me S'mores, which is a specialty in the specialty anything goes category. And yes, Landon, you're correct. That is a funny name, and it won 10th. It tied for 10th in the favorite beer name category. We also had a non-alcoholic winner, Point Premium Root Beer, won in that category.
That's good stuff.
In Wisconsin, we have both from Explorium, actually. You had they have Milwaukee County Stout, which is their barrel-aged stout, won that category. That beer was just released over Black Friday, or the week of Black Friday. And then the Carver's Peanut Butter Stout won for peanut butter beer. And I can personally vouch for that Carver's Peanut Butter Stout being a very nice beverage.
Very nice, very nice. And speaking of the Explorium, they're running point on a really cool collaboration among Milwaukee area brewers.
Yeah, and distillers too. This is called the Hope Project, which is short for Here's One for the Pandemic Ending. And this is the brainchild of the aforementioned Mike Doble from the Explorium. And here's how it's working. So a bunch of Milwaukee area brewers are getting together in January, and they're going to brew a single batch that's 10 barrels at the Explorium of a big imperial stout. And then distillers from around the state have donated kind of smaller format barrels that previously held kind of all kinds of spirits, anything from whiskey to rum to aquavit. That was one that Aquavit was one that Mike specifically mentioned. And the idea here is to age the beer in all these different barrels and then blend them together in some different combinations to come up with like 4 or 5 kind of distinct beers that they'll keg and then send back to the participating breweries. And the idea here is that they'll all be tapped simultaneously when the light at the end of this pandemic tunnel kind of finally envelops us all, and we're basically in the clear. Mike's real clear that we don't know really when that's going to be, but he did kind of, the timeline does kind of figure to line up with time needed to barrel age stout. So he mentioned 6 months as a possible timeline, which would put it at kind of midsummer. And at this point, honestly, that sounds like it might be a little pessimistic, especially in warmer weather when we might be able to kind of have, be out there drinking out in the beer gardens again, stuff like that. But we shall see. I've been thinking a lot about kind of the end of this thing and how like it's going to be just a sweet party. Like, the notion of walking back into a bar after all these months and, feeling loose and feeling okay about it. It's going to be a sweet party, and the Hope Project is going to be right there to party with it. So, one other thing I want to mention about this is, the pandemic kind of has its own timeline, but at least part of the timing of this Hope Project being brewed in January is because it's typically a slow time for beer sales, and with the Explorium being a mostly on premise spot anyway, I'm guessing that they'll probably have some open tanks in the weeks that follow. So, this is kind of an easy thing to do. I mean, it's not easy, but you're not losing anything as far as tank space and production. So, and this January and February doldrums is a thing. You can see this sales dip in production figures reported to the state, and pretty significant even in a normal year. So, this is the time of the year that brewery owners have kind of circled on the calendar if they're thinking about closing, I'm guessing. So I just want to kind of encourage us to step up and fill the void. I'm not saying that we drink more in January and February than we usually do, but you can be really smart about how you spend your dollars. Spend like these breweries' survival depends on it, because this year it might. Buying from the brewery, buying direct instead of at a bottle shop makes a huge difference to their bottom line. There's a 30% markup that distributors have, and then another one that retailers usually take. So if the brewery is capturing all of that, that matters a lot right now. So do the cans and bottles to go, and especially if you can do crawlers from breweries that only sell on draft, those are the ones that probably need it the most. So, okay, proselytizing for buying beer is over. Landon, what's next on the agenda here?
Yeah. Speaking of closings, we've had another one already in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and this is a pretty tough one, at least symbolically, for Milwaukee. A couple weeks ago, Pabst announced that it was closing its tap room on the old Pabst campus just north of downtown Milwaukee. This had been relaunched and rebranded just in January, in fact, as Captain Pabst Pilot House, taking on the name of Pabst craft-inspired label that they launched around the same time. It was a great, or I guess it is a great, I don't know, it was a great space. It occupied a historic 145-year-old former church building, and it had this awesome, humongous script Pabst sign accented in neon as the main light fixture over the main bar. And there was a grand reopening party that was scheduled for March 28th, which was Frederick Pabst's birthday. And that, of course, never ended up happening. This venue had been trying to kind of reinvent itself as a music destination. And obviously that was also short-circuited by the coronavirus. Of course, this is not the first Pabst closing in Milwaukee. The sprawling brewery around the church that has since been redeveloped was shuttered in 1997. But just 2 years later, this is right as PBR was returning to its kind of current prominence among younger drinkers, hipsters. I don't even know if they were called hipsters back in 1999, but production of Pabst beer actually returned to Milwaukee with a kind of hush-hush agreement for it to be contract brewed at Miller. So that continued until it has continued essentially since then. But after a really interesting and it was an interesting legal battle, because it brought all this stuff that you never hear about, contract brewing, virtual brewing, all that stuff was brought out into the public domain, because those are court documents and discovery, all that stuff becomes public. So anything that they want to talk about in court, they had to release to the public. So that agreement is ending at the end of this year. So and then just this year, Pabst took over ownership of its first physical brewery, besides the little tiny one in the basement of the Milwaukee tap room. Since it closed in Milwaukee back in 1997, that brewery in Irwindale, California, was sold to Pabst by, who knows? You guessed it. Who's got it? Molson Coors, owner of the Miller Brewery in Milwaukee. So Miller sold a brewery to Pabst to make their own stuff, so they're not going to have it. Any questions on that? You guys follow all that? kind of weird. But
Big
the
beer.
co-op there is ending kind of simultaneously right now in Milwaukee.
Yeah, big beer.
Hey,
I did, but I didn't like that. No, but really though, I mean, big beer as far as that whole transaction goes. But I really did enjoy the time that I had when I was at the Pabst place, and they had a whole bunch of different styles there too. It wasn't just people hear Pabst and they just think it was just the the light American ale that we love so much, light American lager. Sorry, that we quote.
Yeah, one of the things that they told that I was told by their brewing staff, it was, check this out. So at this launch, the rebrand launch thing, they had half of the Pabst company's entire brewing staff on hand, and it was 2 people. I'm guessing that there's going to be a little bit bigger once Irwindale is going again. But I mean, that was it. They had the guy who basically ran the little tiny brewery in the basement. They had, and then there was a VP of kind of a VP of brewing, and 2 other people. And I'm not sure exactly. I mean, they were a virtual brewer until at that point. So, but anyway, one of the things that they said was Andeker was one of the beers that they were going to bring back under the Captain Pabst label, and they said that would be this fall, and we haven't seen it yet. So that'll be an interesting one. Andeker is kind of a legend in like, I think it was in the 70s or 80s. So.
Okay. Anything more?
Yeah, no, that's it. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. It's not all doom and gloom in Milwaukee brewing scene, though, so that's good news, right?
Yeah, no, not anything bad. We've got another brewery opening up in West Dallas. How about that? Brothers Dan and Ben Naus, who are both science teachers and homebrewers, are opening Perspective Brewing Company in downtown West Dallas by next summer. It is the 3rd opening announcement in West Dallas this fall, following the opening of Lehman Brewery, which I think we talked about last month.
Right.
And the in development and still somewhat mysterious 414 Brewing.
Yeah.
Everybody will, you guys know. This is the one that's opening in the Perfect Screw building.
Yeah.
Yes. And if they don't, if Kyle doesn't have a beer called Perfect Screw right off the bat, I mean, what are we even doing here, right? Okay. Anyway, it's also worth mentioning that Westallion Brewing, which was it had a nice run of 3 years as West Dallas's only brewery, is also open just down the street a little bit north of almost most of these breweries are opening kind of in a little cluster around downtown. There's a whole new former heavy industry redevelopment areas in there. So
sounds like my kind of place. Yeah. You hit 3 or 4 of them in a row.
Yeah, you got it.
Love it.
Yeah.
What's up, man?
So we're going to close with a little news in the beer journalism world.
I can't let this news segment go by without a mention of this huge loss to Wisconsin beer fans. My colleague and friend, Kathy Flanagan, has retired after 26 years at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. The last several of those, she was covering the beer scene in this region, and it's hard to describe how important it is to have a full-time reporter at the most important news outlet in the city covering the beer industry and the scene. Stories are not going to be told because I mean, I'm making it sound like Kathy's like dragging us into this nuclear winter of beer journalism. That's not the case. But the Journal Sentinel is going to kind of backfill beer coverage with other people. But she was dedicated to this, and it was one of her primary focuses. I think it probably was her primary focus, but so it is a loss. And Three Sheeps Brewing up in Sheboygan recognized Kathy's career and her impending absence with this name by releasing a beer named for her. So Kathy was a big fan of of Three Sheeps Hoppy Spice beer, which was brewed just once. It was an Imperial IPA with ghost peppers, and it released like 5 years ago.
Wow.
And they whipped up a new version of her, a little bit lighter, based on their nice Pendulum IPA, and named it in her honor, Ghosted by Kathy. So a well-deserved honor for a great journalist and a true friend. Kathy, cannot wait to get together with you and toast your retirement in person like real people do, with a clink and a hug. So, and I guess, we had some little bit of breaking Wisconsin news yesterday with his contract. And I should mention that if you're up for celebrating that and you're in the Milwaukee area, you can stop by Third Space. Our good friends at Third Space are offering a free pint of Light It Up, their lager, or Happy Place, their awesome pale ale. You wear a Giannis jersey to the tap room. So that's tomorrow only. Tonight if you can make it, but tomorrow only.
Hey man, that's big. I'm not from here, but I know that Milwaukee has a long history of losing superstars.
Yep. And just general kind of angst as far as getting close and not quite sealing deals. So, I mean, a lot of pressure on the Bucks the next couple of years, but yeah, looks good.
Well, no pressure, no diamonds.
That's right. Let's get some diamonds.
Landon?
That's it. That's all we got.
Hello.
All right. Well, we are thrilled to be joined in the Badger Beer Hour here by Erica and Jessica Jones from Giant Jones Brewing Company.
Hey. Woohoo. Got the whole staff.
Welcome to Badger Beer Hour. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us. This is fun.
All right. So we're going to talk about pairing beer with Christmas cookies in just a little bit. But first, I wanted to kind of have you guys tell the story of your brewery. What's the elevator pitch after the pitch part?
We're a certified organic brewery run by queer women. That nails it.
We make big beers, and this is our American barley wine, and barley wine is the culprit. We fell in love with barley wine when we were living for a few years out in San Francisco Bay Area. If you've ever been to the Tornado, they had a barley wine festival, which we would go to every year. And they would have more than 50 barley wines on tap, and
51 to 56, depending on the year.
And that idea of people getting together around beer was really solidified, because you can only try 50 some odd barley wines if you have a group of people to share them with, because they are big. And so we would always get we'd get a flight of all of them and get 10 people around, and we'd just take little tiny sips and pass them around and be very happy at the end of our 50 barley wines.
Yeah, so we opened a barley wine brewery, which ultimately was just mechanics of being organic. We had two non-negotiables. We were going to open a brewery, and it was going to be certified organic. And we figured the only way we could be at a reasonable price point in the market was to be doing these big beers. And that allows us to really absorb the cost of organic ingredients. Because if we were trying to do organic pale ales, we're going to be charging $14 for that 6-pack. And that's a tougher sell to people, but $6 for half a liter of barley wine, you're like, oh, that's a great deal.
Nice. Okay. So, we kind of missed it, but you guys are from Madison, Wilson Street, right? No, Main Street. Yes.
Rarely.
Yep.
Same building as Old Sugar Distillery.
That's right. And how long have you guys been open?
We opened in 2018.
2.5 years.
So 2.5 years. Yep. And we're we got one full year in. And, we'll see what a second full year will look like, but.
The second full year has looked pretty weird.
Yeah.
So far. How have things been during the pandemic? I know you guys have been bottling, and that's been part of the plan from the start. A lot of breweries, a lot of small taproom oriented breweries have had to kind of shift and start canning or doing whatever. This was always kind of part of the plan for you guys, right?
Yeah. My favorite place to drink beer is on my couch. So I assume that's true of everybody else. So like, it was really important to us that was part of what we were doing from the beginning. So it was, there's been plenty of like hiccups and tumult this year, but there was some level of stability just because we were already in the stores. Like, we didn't have to go out and find new accounts. It's just keeping them stocked.
Yeah, the biggest, there's been lots of challenges, but it's been really challenging to have all of our beer get put in bottles because we weren't set up to do that. We were packaging about 50% of a batch into bottles, and the rest of it was going into kegs, either for the tap room or for going out to restaurants and bars. And so getting that second 50% of a batch into bottles has proven to be quite a challenge, especially since we did lay off our part-time employees at the beginning. And so it's just the two of us. And so luckily, like, people are doing a good job of going to the store and buying bottles from local breweries and from regional breweries. And it's, those accounts that we had have been, have kept us going. So those independent liquor stores that we have shelf space at, we're at, all the local independent liquor stores and a few like small markets, like independent grocery stores, Willie Street Co-op. So like that's our main, that's it right now. So
have you heard that is a thing that people are saying, okay, we have to start, like, what I was basically just talking about 10 minutes ago, like, that people are buying local with a more kind of intentional focus and keeping.
There was a huge boom of that this spring. Like March through May, it was just like all like spirits, like the spirits industry never had, like, they never had the hoarding buying that was happening this spring. Like, people weren't hoarding gin. We did. The only purchases we were making this spring was State Line gin. But
gin is a staple item.
But for brewery, like, if you had to go format, like, it was moving and like in good volume. And then this summer, when like things cracked open a little bit, that fell off for everybody.
Yeah. But I think like we have seen customers lately being like, we want to make sure we're continuing to support small businesses, and we are selling well at the small local stores that we're in, partially because they know us, and people who would come into the brewery who are from kind of the area of our neighborhood or just beyond, like, they can't come into the brewery. So I assume and I know that they're buying it at the liquor store instead of coming in on a Thursday or Friday night.
Are you guys still open for takeout? Like,
we're doing Thursday, Fridays, or by appointment. The rules changed for how we can take beer sales. So we can take beer sales online now. That was new this spring from Department of Revenue, which makes it so that it makes it way easier to like take an appointment from someone, because like they can pick out their beer and we know that we have it. Right?
Yeah, you can have it ready, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can prep it. We can prep everybody's order. So yeah, a lot of people are doing that. It is what it is, but like, we have been able to keep bottles going, although we're just not able to bottle enough. The two of us and brew.
Are you manually capping each one? Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a 4-head filler that is manually filled, and then I manually cap it. And we are very excited partially because of this whole shenanigans, we were able to find a really good deal on a bottling line, like a mechanical,
like a real one,
rotary
16-head rotary filler.
Your arms aren't going to be sore anymore.
Nope. I know. I'm like, why do my wrists hurt all the time? It's like, because I keep like doing all these things. Poor Jessica's like moving 4 valves with her thumbs. Like, she's gonna have like weird, odd, like muscular thumbs.
All the Nintendo training from the 80s.
You'll be really good at all the video games.
All right, so thanks for telling that story. It's fascinating. I tend, as an interviewer, I tend to kind of just keep going. But let's talk about cookies. Greg, you want to jump in here with the cookies? I don't have any cookies. I'm an idiot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know. It's
Well,
bad.
so, what's up, ladies? I love having my favorite thing about this is having the controls. Anyway,
I never got that impression of you that you wanted all the control.
right. I need my own. Yeah, it's caught. I need my own like catch line. You are the weakest link or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I want all the control. That's why I'm a brewer.
This is true. I've been sipping on this wonderful American barley wine.
So we just packaged this today.
Yeah.
I haven't even had the chance to put it in our online store. People were asking me like, hey. I was like, I don't know, tomorrow, Thursday. So you are getting it pre everybody. This is our first drink of it too. So.
And y'all gave me cookies too. So you're gonna have to tell me what cookies to eat. But before, I just wanted to make sure that I told everybody I had this, and this is this. I don't know if you saw my eye rolling and my smiles before, but that's what I was smiling and loving here. So
11%. So I know it's a Wisconsin Beer Wednesday, but I don't know if you're planning to get schnockered.
Well, and I just opened this bad boy too. So the
Nice.
wonderful
That one's under 10%. It's only 9.8% alcohol.
So it's only. Jessica, generally speaking, I don't see you as a person who likes to talk about yourself, but I'm going to talk about you now. Jessica is an advanced cicerone. Jessica's also a master beer judge, right?
Grandmaster.
She's a grandmaster.
Right. Grandmaster. Sorry, I forgot the grand. So you are one of the people that we could really like learn a lot about as far as food pairing. And I still have some friends that are like, beer pairing, that's not. So before we even get there, what do you say to those people who are like beer pairing deniers? Because there are some.
Sure. Well, then they might as well just deny that anything pairs, right? You might as well just deny there's no such thing as flavor synergies, or that physics don't exist, right? Because like beer has a pairing superpower, and it's just simply because it's carbonated. Because the carbonation physically cleans your tongue like a scrubbing bubbles commercial. So it scrapes fat off, but it also volatilizes things from what you just ate. So one of my favorite things to do, one of my favorite pairings we've done at the brewery was a beer and tea pairing, because it just lifted whatever lingering tea was on your tongue right off, which it will do with anything else, but it was already wet, right? Because most of what aroma is, most of flavor is aroma. There's only a few things you take that's taste, right? It's sour, salty, sweet, bitter, umami, carbonation, metallic, rancid fat. After that, it's all aroma. And so if everything's aroma, having something that's going to actually volatilize it in your mouth, so you get that retro nasal experience of the aromas is just incredible. Plus, it refreshes your palate automatically. That's why beer and pizza, any beer and pizza is a good pairing because the carbonation takes it off your tongue. That's why beer and soda is a good pairing too. Pizza and soda works too. Right? And
gotcha.
Wine just doesn't have sure, there's cava and champagne and prosecco and stuff, but most wine doesn't have the carbonation. So beer and cheese will always be a better pairing unless it's a carbonated wine.
Yes. Excellent. So then what's up with beer and cookies? How does that, is it the same science?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Well, and then so once I can just go on just about carbonation, right? But pairings, there's different types of pairings too, right? And there's a few quick principles. And I actually just wrote an article on this for Edible Madison. If you go to the Edible Madison, the fall issue of Edible Madison, I wrote a primer on pairings that went over these basics. But you need the impact of things to match. So if you have something that's really strongly flavored and something that's lightly flavored, one's going to wash the other out and it's not going to be that interesting. And then there's things that will just clash, right? So like caramel and citrus clash. And there's all sorts of stuff like that. So like if you can avoid clashing things and get your intensities matched, like because beer is carbonated, like it'll be fine, but then like you can have things that are just like resplendent glory, right? And I think that usually happens either when you have something cancel out. So like one of my favorite pairings is an IPA and blue cheese, because the bitterness in both just falls out because they match, and then you taste all the fruitiness on either side. And it's just like both become like super complex. Or when you have things that contrast and like push each other towards their extremes, which I always think is really lovely. Which, speaking of cookies, with this barley wine, there's like these like deep pomelo things, and then a touch of oak, and a little bit of blackberry, all coming from the hops. And this is actually a little more grapefruit than usual. I wasn't able to get Centennial hops this year, so I had to use Cascades and blend it in a little bit of Bravo, which shifts things a little bit. But you do what you have to do, especially when you're making organic beer, right? Like there are so few ingredients available to me. But so that Erica made these ginger cookies, and that ginger should contrast to those citrus flavors and just like hopefully get both to pop.
I made this cookie because our friend Emily always has like a Christmas party, and she always has these cookies. She has like a fridge full of beer, and then she always has these cookies, and I'm always like, oh my God, I need to eat like all of those cookies. And I think I usually eat like a dozen. It's it's Smitten Kitchen recipe, ginger snaps, really easy.
So one question I had was, you're doing things with your mouth here. So how do you like, what are the mechanics of pairings? Like what do you do you eat the thing first? Do you drink first? How does that work?
I mean, it just doesn't matter, right? I mean, so like you're going to have a different impression whether you go beer then food or food then beer. And so we used to monthly do these things at the brewery, where we'd present a pairing with another producer with cheese or chocolate or whatever, right? And I'd tell everyone to do it differently. And then when we were talking about the pairing after everyone had experienced it, I would get people's impressions whether they had one first or the other, because that like shifts your dynamic. And it's a choose your own adventure game, right? But you can do things to refresh your palate in between. So like swishing with water is fine, is good, but like really sniffing your sleeve, that resets your olfactories. That's swishing with water or having a plain cracker for your nose, because it resets if you reset your olfactories, then all those things that are aroma are fresh again. So like water and the shirt sleeve. And the thing is, like, your shirt doesn't even have to be clean, because I'm serious, right? Because you're neutral to yourself.
Right. So if you're smelling yourself, you're smelling you're
If you're not, then maybe you should.
I mean, sure. Like we all have these moments where it's like,
I smell.
I need to groom. But
pandemic, man, I'm not doing laundry every day. Come on.
No.
All right.
What do you think of the pairing between the ginger snap and the American barley wine, which I know you're drinking?
I think it's great. It really, especially when you eat the cookie and then you drink the beer, you get more. I felt like I got like a little bit even more of a ginger hit, and kind of took off. It kind of felt like it kind of get exposed the barley wine a little bit more. So I got more of like an alcohol-y end than I did before when I was drinking it before. But I also let it warm up, and it's been in my hands too. So I'm
nice. I agree. I mean, so the other thing about like tasting things is like whatever you taste is correct, right? Like that's always my disclaimer at these things. Like if I describe something that you didn't experience, that just means I experienced something that you didn't, right? And if you tasted something that I didn't, that just means because everybody's lab equipment is calibrated differently. We're all different, sensitive to different compounds at different thresholds. So like, it's just going to be different, period.
Period. And Snickerdoodles goes great with this. It accents the cinnamon for at least for me.
Thank
Cookie
you for
first,
Snickerdoodles.
and then switch it around, and then cinnamon. Really.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the key. I remember. So like, I'm not a great baker, and so every year at the holidays, I relearn how to like bake cookies. And what I learned is the key is butter, and like a lot of butter. And so it doesn't really matter.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of butter, and it's gonna be good.
So,
wait. So Jessica has to be the baker. Okay.
I made all the cookies. I made them because she was busy making other stuff.
Well, I don't know who's, we're broadcasting to a lot of people. So I am personally friends with Jessica on Facebook. Jessica, we're going off on a little tangent here, but sorry, it's appropriate, I think, for me. Whatever. Jessica does some crazy. Jessica, can you tell us real fast so we can go back to the cookies? But Jessica does some crazy thing every year where she bakes a cake every day or every 2 days, or what the hell?
So
every day.
We have a game at our house. We call it cake season.
Okay.
And whatever age you're turning, the last digit is how many birthday cakes you get. Right. Well, this year was cake peak season because
peak cake. This year, 2020 peak cake.
And our birthdays are a month apart. And I turned 39, and Erica turned 40, and so I got 9 birthday cakes, and Erica got 10.
Oh, that's not 0 cakes?
What sort of monster makes it 0 birthday?
I mean, you could just kind of go with the 9. I don't know. I love the 10. The 10's great.
Yeah. Who doesn't want 10 birthday cakes?
If
We've also decided
to me, I turn it up to 11.
We've also decided once you get to 111, you can request all of your cakes on the same day. So that you can just eat them and be done.
And Landon, just so you know, Landon and Chris, these aren't just, like apple cake. I mean, these are some serious cakes. I had no idea that the cake even existed until I saw it on your Facebook page. So that's like when Erica said that she wasn't a baker, I was like, it has to be Jessica.
Well, I had to make her cakes, but my cakes generally turn out as what do I call them? I don't know. Once I started our oven on fire while baking a cake. So
it was the fall of 2018, and she made a cake that had like $40 of ingredients in it, and it was like our last $40.
And we just opened the brewery, and I made this like chocolate stout cake, and it was like so much batter. And then I was like, okay, I need to put this in pans. And I had to it said it wanted this many pans. And I was like, okay, but I don't have that size pan. So I looked up on the internet. Don't do that. What volume pan? And it was wrong. And all of my cake went all over the oven. Started on fire.
But I hear everything you read on the internet is true. Anyway.
Totally false.
Speaking of things on the internet, beer and cookies.
Right. So I gave you guys we exchanged beer and curbside, of course, and I gave you guys peanut butter cookies with that Hershey kiss on it. What style would you guys suggest for that one?
Stout for sure.
And what are we trying to get, like a chocolate peanut butter thing going on?
I mean, in reality, it's a Hershey's Kiss, so it's just going to get driven over by the stout.
Okay.
But we should. But that similar internal mechanic of the peanut butter and the chocolate on there, we should get some of that. And if you in approaching a cookie plate, these big beers are kind of a superpower. Like if you have one beer to sit down with at a cookie plate, grab a barley wine, 100%, because there's just so many layers of complexity in there. Otherwise, a big stout or this would be a good place for barrel-aged beers too, because the intensity is going to match. Because with all of that butter and all of that sugar, you need something that's going to stand up to it. I mean, pastry stouts would work, but it's just going to be like balancing a cookie with a cookie.
Right.
Pounding the sugar.
Like it sounds like to me, it just sounds cloying. Like the last time I had store-bought eggnog and cookies, it was just like
too much sugar. Sugar high. What do you call your peanut butter chocolate kiss cookies at your house, Craig? Because I know everybody has similar cookies, but they often have different names.
Those peanut butter cookies with the Hershey on.
That's the cool family. They call them peanut butter blossoms.
Oh, okay. Okay. Chris, what do you call them? Because I know you saw mine before the show started.
That's one of my favorites that my mom makes. I don't know. I think we just call them maybe peanut butter kisses.
That's a good name.
Sounds sticky.
Yeah. Like, but
no, it's cool. Landon, show everybody do you have a pairing there, Landon? Do you have an interesting cookie, and we can talk about that too.
First of all, is my mic working again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, thank God. Whew. Okay. I ate most of it. I had 2. I've been having beer, so what better, you got to have some more carbs. So the Norwegian people call these krumkake. I have no Norwegian people in my house, nor am I Norwegian. So this is a pitzel. It's an Italian, very thin. You can see it's very, very thin cookie. This one I think has toffee in it.
Ooh.
So my wife actually got creative. She's Italian. She had made half chocolate, half toffee, but those last. So she made like 120 of them. They're gone. So these she made just tonight. I'm pairing these with an ice bock.
Wow.
And what are they? They look like wafers, or they look like
they're super thin. Yep.
Wow. But is it snappy or is it? Okay, snappy. Okay.
Yep. Snappy. Yep.
Snappy. All right.
I'm so glad I married into an Italian family. Yeah.
Not everybody can roll up on an ice box, Landon. What else would you? One of the beers I like to talk about too. I don't know if ladies want to speak on it. Is I know it's a little bit long in the tooth, still has them, but I know some people still have Oktoberfest in the refrigerator.
Oh, sure.
Would Oktoberfest go good with cookies?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They're a little bit long in the tooth.
like especially what Landon's eating, especially if he doesn't have the toffee in the center, like those cookie things. A lot of the Norwegian cookies, there's ones that look like a tiny pie shell.
Those are called sandbakel.
Right, and the little deep fried things.
Those are called oh my gosh.
Krumkake.
No. Krumkake are what Landon was eating, but they put them in. You make a cone shape, but you don't fill them with anything because you're Norwegian, and so it must be as bland as possible.
Iron. Rosettes, right? So rosettes would be great with an Oktoberfest because there's so little sugar there. Like you're just really dealing with slightly sweetened, crisp flour, right? So those are places where something especially a marching style Oktober would work really great there because any amount of browning you have, like the Maillard that happened on that cookie would harmonize and hopefully compound all of the Munich malts happening.
Right, because there's that Maillard reaction with the malts, and
Yep, it's the exact same thing. The same things happened on that cookie. Like when that cookie starts to brown, the same thing happened to make the Munich malt.
So Landon. Landon, is that what you have, like a stroopwafel or waffle?
It is. Somebody just put that on there. It kind of looks, the stroopwafel, they put the caramel in the middle and it's like 2 wafers, but if you had just 1 wafer, I think it'd be similar. Or like a waffle cone.
Is that what it's like, Landon?
No, stroopwafel Like they said, it has that small layer of caramel or whatever in it, and then it's almost 2 cookies. That, and then I mean super thin cookies.
The thing that we're all wondering,
really,
are you just getting like a waffle cone that's flattened out without the ice cream?
It's cannoli. That's flat.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, because an American waffle cone has malt powder in it. That's part of that flavor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, Jessica. So you brought out, we talked pretty extensively, or a little bit extensively, about the barley wine and your guys' love of barley wine, and that was, I didn't know barley wine was a style of what you ladies do. So that's wonderful. But so then what can we definitely pair with a stout? They're big time now. They're all over the place. People love to drink them during the winter. So what kind of cookies we can, when we grab our stouts this week, what kind of cookies can we try to get made?
Anything nutty. And those who have anise flavors in their Christmas cookies, so like a lot of the German tradition cookies have anise seed or fennel seed. Like anything with those types of flavors, like will play really well with the roast. Things with fruit, so like if you have thumbprint cookies around, like that'd be pretty exquisite. Not if there's mint jelly, probably though. Like mint clashes with a lot of beer flavors.
Well, and stouts have that real like coffee roasty flavor, which
very roasty. This is very nicely roasty.
Yeah, I get a lot of like espresso notes. So we made these little cookies that we gave you, Greg. They're anise drops. Anise drops. New recipe to try. They have a lot of anise in them. So if you don't like anise, don't make them.
These?
Yep.
They're light.
They're very light.
Yeah.
They're kind of crunchy.
Yeah, you can just shake them all day.
They're kind of
Stop messing with me, Jessica. You're always messing with me, Jessica, damn it. Wow, nice.
It's because I love you, Greg.
What is that, anise?
That's anise.
Yeah.
Lots of anise.
Well, and then once the stout's in my mouth, like it goes from being like first it's aquavit, then amaro as some like vanilla things kick in, and then it sort of tastes like Coke,
like Coca-Cola.
Yeah, but not disgusting. Like
Whoa,
gross.
Whoa, wait.
You just disparage Coke?
Yep.
I'm about to disparage something.
I can go back and talk about when the barley wine and Snickerdoodle tasted like 7-Up, and I panicked and tried to rethink my life.
Wait, so anise, this is licorice.
Right.
Yeah. Anise has licorice flavored. Black licorice, anise, fennel, they're all the same chemically.
Y'all made me eat licorice. Props. Yeah. Props. If I would have known, I would have never eaten this.
Not your jam?
No, but
I don't like jam. I don't like the licorice jelly beans.
No, but it brings out that anise though, as you were saying, when you put the stout in your mouth. Absolutely. If you like anise, man, this is good. If you don't,
yeah, then probably don't go there. Yeah.
So then, last and certainly not least, what is this one? Cookie?
Oh yeah, this cookie. Okay, so our cookies were all like spice based. Okay. This is called a nutmeg log, but again, I have to relearn how to bake cookies every year, and so they didn't really turn out as shaped like logs. It kind of just turned out like blob.
No, that's what it kind of is. Yeah,
like wood chips.
They're like a nutmeg blob, but they taste really good. They're nutmeggy. They have you can use rum to flavor them. I used some almond and frosting with a lot of nutmeg in the dough. Nutmeg on top. I like nutmeg.
I cleansed my palate and went straight back to the beer.
So y'all saying this with the barley wine, or this with the the stout?
What do you think? Nutmeg. I don't know. I just love nutmeg. What does it go with?
Not for nothing.
All right.
I think it's going to be stout with these two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the stout.
Yeah, but really,
Wow.
I want a big English beer. I mean, so like
Mm.
an old ale,
Wow.
barley wine, or our Burton ale, like that's where my money would be. Like, or going to playing with a Weizenbach would be really fun because nutmeg is chemically similar to the clove phenol in there. Like you're playing in the same territory, so like you might get that clove to cancel out, and then get to taste all the esters and the malts beneath it.
Wow.
Is that from the yeast in the Weizenbach?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. And wow. And I don't know why you mentioned your Burton ale. Nobody can get it because it sells out in like 2 seconds.
No,
So,
we've got it.
We've got it. It's
What?
still on.
I mean, there's some at the brewery.
oh, really?
We got it. There's
Yeah.
not those Scotch ales.
I mean, it also like disappears from like we make Burton ale and it just like flies.
Right. Wait. So do you have Burton ale at the brewery now?
We
Yeah.
do.
Oh, well, what?
I almost give you
Why am I
some.
here?
What are we doing? We should go.
All right.
Oh, these things today.
Right. I should have said put a case of that Burton ale on my. Okay. Well, we got to work on this. I went to your website. I thought it said sold out. So I'm like,
Well, I mean, so we are like our bottling process right now is like hopefully we get some of it packaged right out of the tank, but then we're putting everything into kegs, half barrel kegs, and bottling out of half barrel kegs. So like it's kind of cyclical.
gotcha.
And it's like, what are we getting done this week? And things don't move at a constant rate anymore. It's total fits and starts. It'll be like, oh, look, we sold no dark Weizenbach this week. Oh, look, we sold all of the dark Weizenbach this week. And it's just like, there's no rhyme or reason to how things move anymore. So like the sold out on our website. So if it's on our website, it means that like,
It's probably
we got the
coming back.
liquid. It's just probably not in the tiny vessel at the moment.
Gotcha. Okay.
We're all going to be really awesome at life after this year.
Right.
We're going to be able to do anything.
Well, ladies, it's been fantastic, fun, wonderful. We've talked about cookies way longer than we thought we'd do.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
We're the Badger Beer Hour, so if we don't get out of here in an hour, well, I don't know what happens.
We have to pay the luxury tax.
Oh, that's it. Right.
Yeah.
The Giannis tax, we have to pay that.
I was wondering if it was liver based.
Thanks for coming on and imparting your knowledge and showing us any last notes about cookies and pairing and beer and
The
anything
best
about
way
that?
to know if a pairing is going to work is to try it. So bake a lot of cookies and drink a lot of beer.
Yeah. I mean, we go for all sorts of pairings that like, oh, that didn't pan out. And then you just try again. Like, oh no, I ate and drank more.
Darn.
Yes.
Happy 2020.
Yeah. So eat, drink, and find something exquisite.
Cheers. Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
Thank you. Absolutely. And I gotta hit one of these things here. Oh man, there's so much fun. I didn't want to let them go. So Chris, this is the beer spotlight. We want to talk about real quick before we get out of here because that segment went way too long, but not way too long. It went just enough actually. But Chris, you want to talk about you want to start us off with your favorite beers of 2020?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're my favorite, but I think they're two beers that I drank a lot of and I wish I could drink more of.
And let's preface this too as three people who love to travel the state to drink beer. And obviously 2020 wasn't a year that we all got to really do what we normally do, which is visit breweries and really find out like what is really going on. As far as, you know, so if our beers aren't if they're a little bit lacking this year, it's because this year was a little bit lacking. So anyway, that being said, Chris.
All right. Well, I think my like true favorite beer this year was Untitled Arts Zanzibar Chocolate Stout. Untitled Art is made out of Octopi in Wanakee, so it's a Madison, kind of Madison local, and the chocolate shop is so Zanzibar chocolate is one of the best flavors of the chocolate shop ice cream shop, which is a small kind of small ice cream maker based in Madison. And the great thing about this Zanzibar is like you think chocolate ice cream. This is like a dark chocolate ice cream. It is super deep and rich and not super sweet. So it's one of those it's one of those it's obviously it's creamy and it's sweet and it's ice cream, but it has a lot more depth than you normally have with chocolate ice cream. This beer totally captured all of that. It was, I mean, if a beer can taste like ice cream, it was that. But then it was also so distinctly Zanzibar. It had the deep roast. It had, obviously it was sweet and creamy, but it was not. I mean, Untitled Art, right? I mean, those beers get really, really sweet sometimes. But it finished clean. It was dark, rich. It had some of that roasty bitterness that makes Zanzibar so singular. So it was just a perfect dessert beer, but it wasn't like crazy over the top sweet. It was still balanced and drinkable. Not at all trouble to get through 16 ounces of it. So that was my probably my favorite beer this year. And then I always think about some like symbolism and kind of the year that was with these beers. And this was a year of comfort beers, and Miller High Life was one of my comfort beers, especially early in spring and through the summer when things were still super. We never really came out of like quarantine as a family, or not quarantine, but we were taking distancing and staying away from crowds and public spaces pretty seriously. So I don't know. I mean, it's just the perfect. I mean, I've always liked High Life, but when things were weird and this was a thing, like people went back to their kind of mainstay beers, especially this spring when things were scary and we didn't know anything about this and we didn't know when it was going to end, and we thought that maybe the mail was going to kill us, and it was crazy. It was crazy. So we went with things that we knew, and the bottle shop owners that I talked to said this was across the board. It was not just beer. And there was localness to it. Hopalicious started really moving and get really well again. And, kind of the local standards Bell's Two Hearted was a big one, but also with spirits, like instead of like all these kind of crazy artisan whiskeys, it was people were buying Jack Daniels and Jim Beam again. So, High Life was my comfort beer this year. And, I think it's great. It's the champagne of beers. I gave it a 5-star review this spring, and some people
hell broke loose.
What? And I was like, no, dude, it's great. It's great. Look at that.
You gave it a 5-star rating, and all hell broke loose. That's my analysis.
That's pretty much it. But a lot of people
not all, but it was.
You read this. If you read the column, you got it. So that's cool. Yeah.
So I'm gonna jump in here real quick. You talked about how your favorite beer of the year kind of speaks to the year. Well, it was definitely one of my favorites to get through, which is Fuck COVID. This is the 2.0 version, Ale Asylum. This is their hazy pale. Have to admit, this is a little bit long in the tooth. Probably not going to drink like it is before. But they have the 1.0 was I believe a wheat ale. No, it was a lager.
Light Pilsner, yeah.
Yeah, light Pilsner. These guys, I have to do, Ale Asylum was one of the ones, they're the biggest, I believe they're the biggest brewery in Dane County, right, Chris? And they started selling Hopalicious at $6 a 6-pack. And I think that's where, Chris is talking about as far as, like mainstays and people going back to. Hopalicious was from my view, one of the biggest pales that came out. It was ground changing here in Dane County, but at some point, everybody kind of went away with it. You have new breweries come, not away from it. You got new breweries. You got Giant Jones. Up the street is Working Draft. Up the street from that is another one. Whether it be Next Door or One Barrel. I mean, Madison, Oso's up the street, Parched Eagle. So you have to, we're starting to get so many different things. Chris is right. People started going back to Hopalicious and doing the curbside there at Ale Asylum and doing the curbside at, Giant Jones. And fuck COVID is my one of my favorites of this year just because of the sentiment on it. And just because Ale Asylum went old school. This was $6 a 6-pack. So they weren't gouging anybody. I mean, you still have to pay $9 for their wonderful. I love their Belgian triple, Chris. Yeah, I love that beer. Fantastic. I had it recently. It comes in a can too. Nice triple. Wonderful. Landon, what you got?
My favorite beer of the year is one of my old favorites, and it's one that I really didn't think that I was going to get. The brandy barrel aged pumpkin from Lakefront. They didn't actually ship any up this way. So I thought I kept checking for it. We got the pumpkin lager. So I think I ended up buying like 2 6-packs of that. And I kept going back to the store and going back to the store. Never did find it until the power of social media came through. And one of my beer buddies here in Eau Claire somehow got a whole case of brandy barrel aged pumpkin and said, do you want to buy a 6-pack? And I said, hell yeah, I want to buy a 6-pack. Where and when, man? And met him down at the brewery and socially distanced, whatever. Paid him for it, and that was the best purchase I think I made all of 2020. So I think I drank 2, and then I have 4 sitting on the shelf. So, and that's where they're going to stay until I'm damn good and ready for them.
That one holds up very nicely to the side.
Yes, it's excellent.
Yeah, I was going to insert your pumpkin beer jokes here. But I was going to Landon's the pumpkin beer junkie, man.
Man, that's
undeniable. Right. He's not going to deny it. He's not going to argue it. But I'm like, that's why I'm like, oh, this is how you can get a case of that because it's a but not trying to go on in that pumpkin beer rabbit hole. But the bigger the pumpkin beer, the better for me. Meaning the bigger ABV, the more I think that the pumpkin really goes with what's going on with the beer. For me personally, the lower ABV ones are my speed. Sometimes they come off as like, artificial pumpkin, if that's even a thing. But anyway.
You mean yam?
I am what I am.
All right. So Landon wonderfully pointed out that this is our last stream of the year.
Yeah.
The next time we will see you guys is in the wonderful, fantastic year of 2021. And why do I know it's wonderful, fantastic? Because it's not 2020. Any last notes, guys, for the year? We want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Happy Hanukkah.
Point to the number down. Oh, there
it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
Ask us questions. Send us comments. We'll play them on the air, and if they're good, I mean, we're not going to play junk. We wouldn't do that. But but if you got a question for us, anything you want us to tackle, let us know, and we'll put you on the show.
Yes. Sometimes I'm like, this week we were looking for news pieces. It's kind of a dry month for news. A lot going on with everything. So if you guys hit us there with any news, anything that's going on, please let us know. We were going to wrap with Happy Holidays, and we will see you guys next year. Wonderful.
Merry Christmas.